Hey, you fucks. Thanks for, checking out the videos, showing a little bit of support. How about you take it to the next level and show us some love over there on Patreon, huh? Huh? Huh?
With our dual protagonists, we have two fantasy, the samurai and the shinobi. We want the player to experience both, and we cannot squeeze both fantasy into one character because samurai and shinobi came from a different social class. They have different lives, so we cannot really mix them together.
The historical character of Yasuke presented a really exciting opportunity for the narrative team. We approached it in the same way that so much of the work is done in Assassin's Creed, which is really in terms of research and history first. Not a lot is known about him, but what we did know, or we do know, is that he arrived in Japan in 1579, right when our game starts. And that he had relationships with some of the most interesting people in our setting, like Oda Nobunaga, the Portuguese, and Jesuits, which made it very sort of tantalizing and enticing from a narrative perspective to come in and start weaving these facts with story in between.
Hey, what's up there, everybody out there on YouTube? So it go by Papa Tkyo. Comedy live, well, not live, but we're live at a premiere, I guess. Hello, everybody. Anybody in the premiere chat right now? Did you guys enjoy that Yasuke trailer? That's the fun thing about doing these not live streams, these like rants, right? Like they're ever evolving. Like you can they're always changing. Like, that's the cool thing about these is that like when you're doing YouTube and you're like doing it every day and you're making it up or whatever, you're doing the thing and just like making your own content and stuff and creating it from zero, like it's really fun. And like seeing as I'm a big chunky boy, I'm not even doing any physical work. I'm just sitting here, like I went online, found some video game footage of some black dudes or whatever, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna record over this and talk about this trendy topic because I have an opinion about this too, and I feel like I give pretty down to earth, regular fucking squared ass opinions about this shit. That's I don't know. I mean, everyone's got like opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, right? But I think that a lot of you guys are pretty based and based in reality, so to speak. And so yeah, I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about this, and yeah. But anyway, yeah. So today we're gonna be talking about Yasuke, the Black Samurai, the Ubisoft fucking new Assassin's Creed game bullshit. And I just realized that they haven't even shown any of the fucking gameplay for that video game yet. They've just shown the CGI scenes for it, but they haven't actually shown any of the gameplay yet. So that's just, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do for the background videos. Normally I'll just do it over my B-roll or whatever, right? But I think for this I'm gonna like put some B-roll of like I don't know, like some black characters or like some samurai video gameplay or something, Ghost of Tsushima shit or something in the background, maybe, just for all this hot sex or the Bubenheimer stuff. Because I mean, like, it's stuff that we want to talk about, that like we need to talk about, right? And it's like because this is just part about getting older, where it's like, how do you distinguish yourself from being one of those old guys who's just like, they're acting conflicted over shit that doesn't really matter, or they're making a big deal about something that doesn't really matter, versus them, it's important that they make a big deal out of it because no one else is doing it, and it's like changing. Like, I always used to think that like old people that cared about politics and shit, they're just lame and boring, and they just didn't have a touch on reality, right? But you realize a lot of these people, despite whatever they might think or whatever, like they think that they're doing these, like they're trying to make these political decisions to keep the country either the same because it's going to help them, or they're going to change it because it's going to help them. They like, I don't think there's a lot of people that are like, I'm doing this to like kill America's freedoms or something, like Captain Planet, evil bad guy kind of shit, like plotting and stuff. I don't think it's like that. I think like, it's like everyone doesn't think they're crazy. That's crazy, right? Like, like they, it's, hold on. Get that coffee in me, yeah. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about the Yasuke controversy of Assassin's Creed and stuff, and I've got some notes here that I want to, like, you know, I want to fill out and stuff for you guys, and that I wrote down about some points I want to touch on this and shit, you know. So yeah, but anyway, like so I mean, first off, I guess, like, you know, since we're already at the 4-minute point here, yeah, let me just do a self promo beforehand. So guys, I don't make any money off of the fucking AdSense for this. Maybe someday we'll get at least 10 grand or 10 viewers or 10,000 viewers for this podcast or whatever, so I can at least make like $1,000 or something from this per month or whatever. But yeah, you know, this channel is entirely fan funded, so if you guys like this stuff and you like hearing my opinion about all this shit, then you know, show me that you care by going over to patreon.com/TkyoSam. I've got tons of different bonuses over there for you guys, and like including your name gets to be at the very end of these videos. But also, you know, I've got like, I'll send you packages from Japan. There's Japanese lessons there. There's like extra footage. There's blogs. There's consultations. There's tours. There's all these different options over there. And yeah, you know, it's a great way to help out the channel directly. And if you guys don't like Patreon, you can become a member here by pushing that join button, and or you could do a super chat or super thanks. And again, big shout out and gratitude for all of you guys who do that. You know, it's surprising how funny it is to like get somebody to actually donate, but like you know, the way I see it is that like I support about like 30 different people on Patreon right now, and it's not a lot of money every month, right? But it's just like all these people, you know, they are making content for free, right? And it's just like even if it's $1 or $2, like I want to show my support, and yeah, just want to like show my support for fellow creators and stuff. Does Patreon even let you guys see who I'm supporting? They used to be able to do that, but I don't know if they still show that anymore. Maybe if it's not there, I should make like a public blog post saying like, these are the guys that I support. Go over and support them too or something. Dude, this chick, what's with her fucking, she's wearing some like Bulma pants or something, you know, from Dragon Ball or whatever. What the hell? The guy's just, he's humping. What's going on? But anyway, yeah, guys, yeah, see, look at this, you know, equal lefts, equal rights. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, for any of you guys who don't want to support financially, you guys can go over and just you can help us by smashing the like button or leaving a comment by answering the question. And I guess the question of the day is like, what do you guys think about the whole Yasuke like controversy? Like, you know, like what's something that they're obviously like missing out on or whatever? Like, let me know, because like I'd like to. You know, I want to hear what your guys' perspective is on this, because, you know, this doesn't need to be an echo chamber. I like hearing different opinions and stuff, and, you know, I mean, I might not agree with them, but I'm not going to, like, ban people for having different opinions either, you know? But, yeah, I'm just curious what you guys have to think about that, and, yeah, anyway, it's so funny, because, like, I wanted, before this, before I started recording this, right, I wanted to get footage of that game, to show, like, you know, what is it, like the fucking gameplay footage. In fact, I might pause the game and just get some Assassin's Creed footage here, just so like it kind of goes together with this shit. Okay, I'm back. Hey, holy shit, guys. Like, you know, it was only a second for you guys, but, like, I had to spend, like, 20 minutes. I went online, and, like, apparently, like, there's a whole genre of videos on YouTube called, like, Assassin's Creed walking videos. And full disclosure, I've never actually played these games, okay? Like, I know about them. I know the storyline for most of them, like, you know, the brief storyline or whatever, like, you know, but I've never actually, like, sat down and physically played these games. But I mean, I hear they're great. Like they're games where it's just like, wow, like the graphics are amazing, the world building is cool, and whatever, blah 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 blah. But this is cool, man. Like holy shit. Like I was like, if I'm not gonna have like, you know, like the Ready to Rumble thing was pretty cool and everything, and I think. And I do have some extra footage of, like, Eddie Gordo and stuff. I basically had to, like, for this video, usually when I do rants, I don't really do a lot of research. It's just kind of, like, off-the-cuff opinions and stuff. But for this video, like, I watched a couple videos on Yasuke. you know, I Googled, like, you know, what are some video game character, who are some famous black video game characters and stuff. Like, you know, we got, like, what is it, like, CJ from San Andreas, and you got Lee from The Walking Dead, and, you know, like, you have all these other, because, like, there's a lot of, like, side characters, but there's not a lot of games where it's, like, the main character's black, you know? And, but anyway, yeah, I was just like, okay, well, you know, the gameplay footage looks all right, but, like, let's get some actual Assassin's Creed game footage in here too. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And I was like, you know, you could do a shitty, or not shitty, but, like, you know, a shitty walk. You could do, like, a dark, dreary city, or you could have, like, some nice fucking actual, like, saturated color stuff. So I chose this one. This is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Yeah, it's one of those games where it's like it's like Elden Ring. I'm not going to actually play it, but I'll sit down and watch, like, a long play of it in the background happen kind of thing, right? But yeah, you know, I mean, so this whole fucking thing, right? It's all just about, like, talking about the outrage behind this, and, like, you know, for all of you guys who don't know, here, let me just fucking actually, like, it's 10 minutes. This is called Tkyorants for a reason, right? It's just ranting and raving and rambling. But you know, it's like this game. So there's a new game, the Assassin's Creed. I don't even know what number are they on right now. Like, do any of you guys in the premiere chat or, like, watching this right now, do you even know what number they're on right now for Assassin's Creed? Is this, like, number 5 or number 6 or 7 or whatever? But yeah, like, it seems like they're making an Assassin's Creed based in Japan. And you have two main characters. You have, and it seems from what the trailer showed, is that they're on two different sides. Like, one works for the government and one works for, like, an anti-government thing or something. And so there's two main characters. You have Yasuke, who's this, like, foreign, you know, this foreigner retainer guy who works for, like, the head shogun, like the head guy in charge or whatever. And then you've got this other chick whose name I don't remember, and she's like she's from a ninja village that got, like, you know, terrorized by the local government or something, and her parents die or something, so she wants to get revenge. So you're playing as two characters on two different sides of like, you know, the story kind of thing, right? And you know, it pissed off a lot of people, right, from the beginning. And and it's funny because it didn't even show the gameplay yet. And the gameplay is, like, the biggest part, right? Like, I know Assassin's Creed games are known for their storylines or whatever and blah, blah, blah. But also it's the gameplay, right? Like, it's not just it's gameplay and graphics, right? That's always, like, what Assassin's Creed is trying to pull off, right? But, you know, most video games are for dudes. And Assassin's Creed is, for all of you guys who don't know, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying this because the games have been out forever, but Assassin's Creed, you always thought it took place in the past, right? But actually it's like a simulation, right? It's like a Facebook VR thing or something where, like, you're in space or something, and you're going back to find out mysteries of history or something, and so you're in a simulation. It's not 100% real. So because I don't think it's time travel, it's just like a simulation or whatever, right? It's kind of like that Dragon Quest movie. And so, like, in the games, and if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments, guys. You guys know more about this than me. But the whole point is like, they're able to kind of twist the history a little bit to make it fit the narrative of the video game. And so, like, you know, it's like, oh, hey, Napoleon didn't die there, he died there or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but it's a video game, it's fiction. But, so it's, like, mostly based on fiction with a twist, you know. It's like it's like Bloodsport, you know. It's like, well, that guy was a real guy, but I don't think any of the shit he was talking about was I mean, like, it's a cool story, but I don't know how accurate this is to what actually happened. And yeah, the thing is that, you know, most people who play video games are guys. It doesn't matter how many women say, oh, I play video games. You're a minority. Most women do not play video games, and you come fight me. You know, I think that there is a demographic out there of women, but it's not nearly as big as the majority of men. And so, you know, in Japan, a lot of people mostly play Japanese games, in my opinion, right? Like, I think a lot of them they play video games that are made in Japan by Japanese people, and there's like I mean, it's getting bigger. It's bigger than it was before, but the majority of people that play Westernized video games, it's not the majority here, right? It's still a minority of people, but just like games like Ghost of Tsushima or something, like when a game comes out that's based in Japan that was made abroad, Japanese people are going to get into it. Like, it's a great selling point for them, and like they'll check it out regardless of if it was a foreign studio or whatever. But and that's like part of where the controversy came in, right? Is that you have this game that's finally, it's like from this very famous game studio, like this very famous like what do you call it, IP, intellectual property, right? The Assassin's Creed series. And Assassin's Creed has done stories, I think, mostly in Europe. They've done, like, I knew they did a Viking one or something where you were a chick. Or was that the robot one? I don't remember. But, it's like, they've done it in other places, right? But, so it's like, of course, like, Europeans probably love the shit out of Assassin's Creed because it takes place in Europe. And, but it's like, so this is finally an Assassin's Creed for all those Japanese guys who love Assassin's Creed. And you get to play as a black guy or a woman. And apparently, I think both of them are gay or something from what they announced on Twitter. Like, they're both gay. And so, yeah. It's like if they did Assassin's Creed in Africa. Like, I mean, people don't understand. Like, all these fucking SJW idiots online, they don't understand that it's not about... overall, it's like, what if a story took place in Africa for, like, that game, but it doesn't have an African main protagonist, Like, how would black people feel about that? Like, like, would they be up in arms about this shit? And it's like that's the main sellers, that, like, this game is for... It's supposed to be for obviously Westerners, but the secondary market is for Japan. There's a lot of people who play video games in Japan, and it's a big market that that game companies want to capitalize on. I would assume. And so when you're making a game based in Japan and you can't even play as a Japanese guy, which I don't know about you dudes, but I don't really play as women in video games. Like, there's some, God, I don't know. Can I think of any game where I did play as a chick? I don't know. Like, as a full-time, like what is it, like a main character? Like, there's fighting games that I liked, like Killer Instinct. I think there was that character, Orchid or whatever. Like, she was pretty cool. She had that, like, cartwheel, like, fighting move. You had, like, Jun Kazama or something, like Jin's mom or something. But, like, as far as a video game where I'm like, oh, I want to play as a chick. Oh, yeah, well, I did play as Jill in Resident Evil 1 because she got the, what do you call it? She had 8, like, she had 8 item slots versus Chris only had 6. But the thing is that, like, I think us growing up as dudes who grew up around video games, is that female characters always had to earn their place there, Like, it wasn't always automatic. And it's like, well, yeah, well, what about Tomb Raider and stuff? And it's like, well, Tomb Raider came out when there were fucking no games for the PlayStation. Like, it was like, this is all you get. Enjoy, And she still was sexualized. She still had big titties. And, like, she just didn't give a fuck and stuff. I think there's a big difference between having a woman that it's like, oh, she's sexualized, but she's badass, too, versus having this stuff forced in your face from the get-go. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like you got to earn respect to get respect kind of thing. And, like, even, like, for example, like Resident Evil or something, right? Like, they had Jill, they had Claire, but in those games, they always gave you a dude to, they gave you a dude to be as, like, a character option, right? And it's like you weren't playing as, like, some random Japanese exchange student. You were playing as 2 people that were based on the ground in that game, right? And you know, like I was watching some videos of like, you know, interviews with the people that worked on the Assassin's Creed game, and they're like, well, you know, like Yasuke is supposed to represent the foreigner, like, you know, he's supposed to be kind of like off the boat, like he's supposed to represent you as somebody who's getting into Japan, who doesn't really know everything. And you're like, you know, like this is, and it's like, yeah, but why did you make him Yasuke? You know, like, well, we based the games on history and stuff, and so it's like, yeah, but why couldn't you base him off of like a Japanese guy based on history then? Well, because then he wouldn't have shown from the foreign perspective of what it was like. Well, I've never been an ape, but I could still relate to the apes in Planet of the Apes, even though I don't live in a dystopian future of America, and I'm not like you know, a talking animal, you know. But it's like I still was able to relate to it, and like those are animals, like these are people, right? And so it's like, if you want to, it's like it's a big like I love seeing the trailer too on YouTube, because all these people in Japanese, they're all writing down like, thank you, Ubisoft, I finally understood what it's like to feel racism. Like I saw a couple of those, and like I'll try to sprinkle those comments. I screenshotted them. I'll try to sprinkle them throughout this this video, because they were just hilarious, man. Like yeah, I gotta find a way to like high res them or something to make them look better. But yeah, it's just like I mean, because like I get it from those Ubisoft guys. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you can really understand where somebody's coming from if you can sit down with them, where it's not like a press conference or something, and you're just like having a beer with them, and you find a way to relate to them, to humanize them, like to make them like a friend, right? And so like I'm watching these just like straight up talks or whatever with the developer, and there's this one white European guy and stuff, and he's like, well, yeah, like, you know, Yasuke's a foreigner, and most of the people playing this game aren't going to be Japanese, and so it's like it gives it from a foreigner perspective. And it's like, yeah, but you know, it's like you didn't, there's ways to market this that make it at least more acceptable in the eyes of people that are wanting to play it. Because again, it's like, why do you have a problem with black people? The Tom Cruise was a white guy in The Last Samurai. Like, ugh, that doesn't make any sense. And I haven't, by the way, I haven't seen the new Shogun series, so I don't know. And I haven't really, it's been a while since I watched the old Shogun series, so I don't really know the story behind that. But like, you know, for example, but I have watched The Last Samurai, right? And it's like in The Last Samurai, there's more believability to the story, right? Like the guy, he gets hired by the Japanese government to teach them how to fight like Westerners, but he's an alcoholic, he gets captured, and he becomes a prisoner, and he like turns on the side of Japanese more than the foreign thing. Like, you know, they do a great job of showing that character development and that story development, right? But with this game, it's like, oh, hey, I know a majority of gamers out there aren't really black or women, but and like we're gonna, and this takes place in Japan, well, you know, and there's a lot of Japanese men probably gonna buy this game, but guess what? Fuck you guys, you're gonna be a gay woman and a gay black man in Japan. It's like, well, Yasuke, so like, and then that brings up like, well, what's the story of Yasuke, right? And Yasuke is some dude from Africa. He gets somehow he gets linked up with these like Portuguese priests or whatever, and the Portuguese back in the day with Japan, they used to sell stuff between China and Japan, because China and Japan hated each other. They had an agreement that they wouldn't fucking trade with each other, and so like the Dutch were like, oh shit, dude, like they're right next to each other, why don't we just buy shit from China and bring it to Japan? They'll probably like us because we're not Chinese, and then like we can sell shit. And then Japan's like, we hate foreigners, and they're like, but dude, we got like all this stuff, we got silk and shit. And Japan's like, okay, but you guys have to live on that island, and like you can't like be with our shit or whatever. And then like slowly those guys started getting like, you know, more favorable shit with Japan, and they could like go to the mainland and stuff. And Yasuke was part of their group. And then you know, the Nobunaga, this guy who had never seen the black dude before, like he gets all surprised, and he's like, oh shit. And then he's like, hey, I want to hang out with that guy for a bit, let him come with me. And the priests are like, yeah, man, as long as you let us keep doing business, and sure, like whatever gets us in your right favor. And then Nobunaga, he basically becomes like Nobunaga's like right hand man, right? And you know, and he's and so it's like when that happens though, it's like, well, what's like, you know, what exactly kind of lifestyle did he live, you know, like, did he lead? Was he, like, you know, because, I mean, I would hope that for Assassin's Creed they show enough backstory where it shows, because, like, the one scene that didn't really sell it for me in the trailer, and again, I don't care about these games, right? I care about how, like, SJW companies want to market and change fucking history for profit. Like, they're playing make-believe, and like, you can play make-believe, but at least sell it better. Sell it to me better. And they're like, no, you're racist for just not agreeing with my shitty storytelling. And I'm like, well, you gotta sell me better, you know? Fuck. And so it's like, these guys are like, well, Yasuke, like, they got to show the progress of where, like, you see Yasuke and he's just standing in the town, and, like, everyone's walking by him like it's not a big deal, and he's, like, wearing samurai equipment and stuff, and he's just, it looks like he's around, and, like, nobody gives a fuck. But it's like, I mean, how does that work? How do you go from being a slave to random Europeans to, like, being able to walk freely around in Japan and not have, like, people randomly attack you, or you know, like, try to, like, fucking throw you in jail or something? Like, I want to understand, how does that work more, because I would feel like Japan, most people don't know what the hell's going on, especially during that time. There's no internet or phones or anything, right? So it's like, they see a giant black dude who they've never seen black people before, and they're like, what the fuck is this? I don't know, it's part of me feels like it's like, you got to have some more believability to it, right? You know, and but hell, I mean, you know, like I said, it's just the trailer, right? But you know, like, the real story of Yasuke seems really cool, though. But at the same time, a lot of Japanese people were pointing out in the comments section that it's not really documented. It's more like stories were told back in the day. Like, you know, for Japanese history, there's a lot of shit documenting. Like, they love history in Japan, right? There's a lot of stuff documenting, like, the daimyos, like, the people that were in charge of the government, and the shoguns, and all this other, you know, warfare shit, whatever, right? But there's not a lot of solid evidence talking about Yasuke. And hell, that might be on purpose. Who knows, right? But most Japanese people regard him as, like, a Paul Bunyan character, or, like, you know, like a Pecos Bill or something. Like, you know, like, kind of a tall tale character versus somebody who's real. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are pissed off, because it's like, this guy wasn't, many Japanese people don't consider this dude to be, like, a real dude, like, more of, like, a tall tale kind of thing, right? And so, you know, and they're just like, and Japanese people love their history, right? There's so many historical figures, and, like, usually when you do a game like this, or, like, a story like this, there's two paths you can take for the main character. You either make them somebody famous that was famous in history, or you make them a nobody character who is, like, linked up to the famous person or something, right? Like, I mean, like, that's what, like, old kid TV shows used to do, right? I remember the TV, oh God, what movies were there? Like, there used to be these, I can't remember the series. Maybe you guys can help me out. When I was younger, and we would go to the library to rent videos or borrow videos instead of going to the video rental shop, we would go to the library, right? And I remember there were these series where it was always, like, a kid and somebody famous. So you could see, from that perspective, like, from the kid's perspective, like, this famous person, right? And so they could have done that with this story, right? Like, they could have gotten a similar character that's not Yasuke to do that. But, and that brings me to the next point, which is, like, I think a lot of game companies now, in general, like, not just game companies, but media companies in general, they want to go for outrage marketing. They don't care about regular marketing. They don't care about dignity, you know. They don't really care about, you know, like, they don't really care about their image, right? It's like those like, online tabloid places, right? Like a Drama Alert thing or something. Like, they don't care about how they look, because they just want they want attention, whether it's negative or not. And I feel like the marketing campaign for this whole game is that to piss people off so much that a lot of people hear about it. And then hopefully by a lot of people hearing about it, they'll play it, right? I mean, like, fucking The Last of Us 2. That video game, you know, I loved the first one. I never actually played it, but I watched the long play of it a couple times, right? Like, I love that story. And in the first like hour of the second game, they kill off the main character, and everyone's gay and trans pretty much. And it's horrible writing, and you can tell they fucking fired the person who was in charge of writing or creative decisions from the first game, because that second game, I watched a long play of it. I watched the game, what is it, like a long play walkthrough of that, and it was just like, it was so worse compared. And I mean, like, the game had a lot of cool elements to it too. Like, there's like, they had this one place where it's like a town based around like this waterfall and river that was really cool, and then you have to go into the hospital and fight this like giant combined zombie thing. Like, that was cool, but it's just like, God, you took all the goodwill from the first game and then you just shit on it. And then all my friends that are like SJW shit, like on Facebook or whatever, they're like, well, yeah, man, but you don't understand, like, it's actually like a very empowering story. And I'm like, dude, you just hated fucking, like, you just hate white people. Like, you're like, I hate playing as Joel. I want to be as somebody who's represented as a minority, even if they're not a racial minority. And I don't know, man. I remember like that game had the controversy because one of the people that worked on it, they were just so sick and tired of it that they leaked it. They leaked the storyline of it just because they were like, fuck this, you ruined my favorite game. How could you do this to me, Neil Druckmann? And Assassin's Creed, again, like, you don't, like, it's not that you can't make a black main character, but like have him be a side character. And it's like, oh, why? Black people can't be main characters in games? And I'm like, no, but like, if you want to set a game in Asia, then have it be a black, or like have it be a Japanese dude. And they're like, oh yeah, well, what about Neo, right? That Neo, the Assassin's, or what is it, the fucking like Sekiro style game, Neo, right? And I'm like, well, as far as I'm aware, I never played that game. I haven't watched a walkthrough of it, but that game is like kind of like what do you call it? It's like a Dark Souls Sekiro kind of game. It's a game that you jump around and you fight monsters and shit. Like, it's not based in reality. Assassin's Creed, even though it's like a story that's like history has changed or whatever, it's still based in reality. Like, people can't fly. There's no monsters. Like, it's just a people, human drama, right? And so you're really comparing apples and oranges when it comes to that stuff. Like, I bet if they made like a black dude for one of those stories, like, yeah, it makes sense because like it's so out of the fucking, like, what do you call it? It's like, it's so out there for the story and gameplay that it's like, yeah, you don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. But it's like, this is like, oh, well, it's historically accurate. And I'm like, well, if it's historically accurate, then when you think like the black dude doesn't have that much walking around power because just racism back in the day, and they're like, well, yeah, and it's like, it just reminds me of like people trying to change the story for like, like ancient Egypt or like European history or whatever, and making like a Viking king a black woman or something. It's just like, okay, I get it. You want to play pretend or whatever for your movie. I get it, and that's fine too. But like, if I say I don't like it because I don't really think it's based on, because it doesn't need to be 100% realistic, but you got to sell me better. You got to sell it better so it makes sense. But if you just have lazy fucking story writing, then, and I'm like, okay, I'm just not interested, and then it's like, you're a racist. It's like, you're just a little bitch who can't, like, you can't take criticism. Like, I mean, that's people were complaining. We were talking about this during one of my live streams, how it's like, is it a bad thing that these AAA games are, like, AAA game studios are like going through this and basically shooting themselves in the foot? And you got to remember, at the end of the day, everyone is they're compelled by money. As much as we would like to think that people have dignity and integrity and honor these days, but there's more people, in my mind, that are corrupt and just care about greed and money and like, getting that big ass house versus making things better for people. And like that Sweet Baby Inc. thing, that there was like a controversy where a lot of these companies, in order to get funding, they have to go to BlackRock Inc. or something. And like BlackRock is I guess it's like one of the biggest company that owns all, like, a majority of companies in America. And in order to get money from them, you need to like hold up your games or quality to the standard that they want, and that means like you got to have a gay character, you got to have like a minority lead, you got to have like, you know, they leaked it on Twitter a while ago about like what is like the checkoff list in order to make new movies to get more funding, and you know, a lot of people are complaining like, oh man, these AAA games, like they're ruining this, like they're changing it, and it's like I get it, right? Like these people that are maybe grew up with like these, because like see, growing up in the 90s and 80s and stuff, like we had a lot of movies that were based on actually changing, you know, like changing the fucking system or whatever, right? Like we saw shit that was unfair and we wanted to call it out, right? But now it's like that shit is past, or at least like a lot of it is past, but we still need to come up with things to complain about, right? And so instead of like making high quality stuff that people will understand, it's just like, yeah, no, like fuck it, I'm gonna just half-ass this stuff, put it through ChatGPT or whatever, and then and if you don't like it, I'm gonna say that you're a racist, versus actually taking criticism and trying to be better, you know, or at least own it, you know. And like the thing is, it's like when JonTron complained about Banjo and Kazooie nuts and bolts, right? It's like they turned Banjo Kazooie into a car Lego building game versus what Banjo Kazooie used to be, right? And it's like this could have been another IP. It didn't need to be Banjo Kazooie. And the same thing with like the Assassin's Creed thing. It's like this could have been a different game, or this could have been like a DLC or something. But like trying to change everything that you've done up until now just to like pull an M. Night Shyamalan with your newest game versus staying true to form, like you're just shooting yourself in the foot. But if most of these guys just cared about their initial paycheck and not if the game actually sells or whatever, like AKA getting all that money payoff from BlackRock, then of course they don't give a shit, you know. And it's like, and it's funny too, because it's like, well, women are the problem. Women are the, you know, women are like they're the problem. Like, you know, you looked at the writers for this game and they're like mostly women and shit too, like from the picture that I saw on Twitter. And it's like, and it's like, I don't think women are the problem, or no, I say women as plural are the problem. I don't think woman, you know, I don't think woman is a problem. I think women are the problem. I think giving a lot of credit and power to people who haven't earned it just because they are, I think a lot of these guys are just weak-willed dudes, you know? Like, they're just weak-willed dudes who are afraid of getting sued by chicks, and so they're like, okay, I guess I'll hire her because I'm getting a paycheck from this regardless. I'm not getting a boost of paychecks if I'm not fucking, like, if this game sells or whatever. So, yeah, I'll just hire this chick to make the bosses happy, and then if we ruin the game, whatever. The people that started this series don't even fucking work here anymore, so I don't really need to carry this. It's just a paycheck for me. I don't give a shit, whatever. She says she wants to make the main character black, whatever, fine, I don't care. You know, whatever, I already got paid. And I feel like that's like a majority of like the mood there is probably just empathetic. Despite whatever like interviews I've seen online of these guys being like, no, we're going to change it, we're going to enact change. I'm like, no, you're not, shut up. You know, like you're just saying that to impress the fat half Japanese chick who's working on this game, so hopefully you could fuck her or something, right? I don't know. Because it's like, you got to remember, the main writer for The Last of Us, that amazing game, was a woman. But it wasn't a majority of women, right? It was just a woman, right? And so, like, you know, it's like back in the day, you had to earn that spot. Like, you actually had to work really hard and bust your ass. And now it's just like, you know, it's like if men are incompetent, then it's like, yeah, we get it. There's men that are incompetent. There's men that are not incompetent, right? Like that's the course of time, right? But up until now, it's like if women wanted to be part of the men's club, like AKA write video games or whatever, they either needed to suck a good dick and like, you know, have really good nepotism with the boss, or they had to be exceptionally talented, right? Because they had to stand out from the crowd. Because like when you half-ass it as a white guy, you can get away with stuff, right? But when you half-ass it as a woman or a non-white guy, then you're going to be put under a microscope way more, right? Like for your work effort and your workload, right? And so, and like, I get it. People are angry now because it's like minorities and women are still like, they get a pass on lazy bullshit too. But the reason why people are getting pissed off is because they're getting a pass on the lazy bullshit writing and contributions for things that were built up probably by, and not necessarily white dudes, but just like dudes in general, right? Like, you know, it's like, oh, a dude made this game, or like a dude worked, like mostly dudes worked on this game or whatever, and then they sold out, and then they got a bunch of people with a lot of talent but no loyalty for the IP or for the game, and so like now it's just gone to shit. And I mean, like, again, guys, like, I'm just a dude sitting here in Tokyo. Like, my opinion doesn't matter. But I mean, I still want to share it. But if you guys think I'm wrong about this, by all means, write down in the comment section, like, be like, no, you're actually wrong. You know, Fallout 1 was written by all women and stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. Like, you know, like, what is it? Like, I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong if I get some things wrong, you know? Like, I don't mind that. Like, it's not like an egotistical thing where I need to be right about this stuff, but it's just I'm trying to interpret society's outrage for something that's happening right now through my eyes, my perspective, right? My voice, right? And so but you can't always be right when it comes down to that, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think about how it's like there are so many good black characters out there. There are so many like interesting movies or stories or whatever that involve black people, and it's just like, again, when you make something like this where it's like, I was so pissed off when I saw the Yasuke anime because I thought they were gonna make like a legit fucking like Last Samurai kind of thing, but then it's like, oh no, it's Yasuke and it's an anime, and I'm like, well, the animation's really smooth. It looks nice. The voice acting's pretty good. Oh, wait, there's magic now and sorcerers. Like, oh, come on, dude. Like, you just took something that was famous and then slapped some bullshit idea onto it instead of making your own character. Like, come on, man. Like, you know, you can base your own character. You could, like, I mean, for example, Akira Toriyama, he based Dragon Ball, the foundation of Dragon Ball, off of the Monkey King legend from China, right? Hell, even fucking Naruto. I forgot the guy's name who made Naruto, but that guy, he based a lot of the Naruto story off of like the Tale of the East, right? Like that old ninja story that Cracky Reeds likes to play right now. Like even the characters in that game are like Orochimaru, Jirai, Tsunade, and there's like the Frog Sage and stuff. Like all of this stuff is in Naruto, right? So it's okay to remix shit and put it there, but when you're just going off the coattails off of this, like obviously kind of like racially, like country or what is it, opinion divided fucking story, then you're not doing this to like represent the character. You're just doing this to like market your shit to piss people off. And then it's like, yeah, well, you know, people, if it's a good game, people will like it anyway. And I'm like, well, why do you need to fucking, like, why does he need to be Yasuke? Why can't you make him somebody else? You know, make him a different, like, make it a different person. Like, you know, make it more, I don't know. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's funny because, like, when I think about it, like, the first superhero movie I ever really, like, truly enjoyed was Blade. You know, like I'd seen, what did I say? Like, I had seen Superman and Batman up until then, right? Maybe Spider-Man. I can't remember Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man came out after that. But, like, Superman, I didn't really care. I didn't like it. Tim Burton's Batman, I was like, yeah, whatever. This is just eh. I mean, Batman Forever was cool, but that's just because it's nostalgia goggles, you know, and I like Val Kilmer. But when I saw Blade, and, like, he's just this badass, like, half vampire, half human, who's just, like, he's got, you know, like, because, like, Blade is, like, kind of, he's got the personality of a rock, right? But, like, it's not about how he talks, it's about his actions, and how, you know, he's not a very talkative, charming personality guy, but he fights for what's right, and he's a badass, and, like, when you do piss him off, he says some pretty funny shit, and Wesley Snipes is so good at playing him, right? And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, like, that's a vampire, this is based on real people and stuff, but it's like, you can have interesting characters like that, but I get it also, like, the pendulum's kind of swinging, right? Like, before it used to be buddy kind of like buddy cop dramas, right? Where it's two dudes and it's their story, but then it's like, oh, and then they're like, you know, like Road to El Dorado or something, right? It's about two dudes and then a chick, right? Like the chick is always the supplemental character or something. Like even in The Wire or something, right? Like you have Detective Keisha, right? And she's one of the main characters, but she's still kind of like a side character. You know, the main characters are still like Bubs and McNulty and Barksdale and shit, you know. But I mean, that being said, though, it's like it's okay to have like a female character, but it's like it still should be a side character. Why? Because you have a series that's mostly built off of dudes being main dudes or whatever, and like you know, like have her build up. Like if she's popular enough, then she gets her own spin-off series, right? Like I mean, same thing that happened in fucking like what was it, the Naughty Dog? No, it was an Uncharted 4 or whatever, right? Like Uncharted 4. Like I remember there's this scene where this guy just gets the shit beat out of him by this black chick. And I'm like, dude, because I played all of those games back to back, and it's like I've escaped an Aztec temple being destroyed right by my feet. I've escaped out of a fucking out of a subway car that was falling down a mountain. You know, I've escaped from like a fucking volcano and shit, like all this other stuff. But like I'm getting my ass kicked by some like Secret Service black chick. It's I don't know. I was just like, come on, man. Like, you know, be a little bit more continuity. But I guess it's like at the end of the day, like you want them to respect you. Like you want the creators of the game to respect you as much as you respect the game, right? And it just, of course, it pisses you off when they pass that baton to somebody who is like, no, I'm going to change it to my way of thinking, my way of doing things. And it's just like, you know, I was saying earlier how it's like, well, isn't it bad that all these AAA game studios are doing this and stuff, but because they want that Blackwater money or BlackRock money or whatever, right? But at the same time, if you know, this goes to show that like sometimes games don't really need a big budget to be awesome, right? And so, of course, like if you want to make awesome graphics like what we're looking at right now, and like hire expensive voice actors and stuff, that's a different story. But you know, with limitations comes creativity, and through that creativity, it could be a spark of something completely new, and that is based off that. I mean, like hell, the guy who made Mega Man, right? Like the guy who made Rockman, he fucking like he quit Capcom and then he made his own. You know, he's like, I'm gonna go make my own Mega Man with blackjack and hookers and stuff, right? And so I don't know. I mean, like same thing. I mean, I didn't play those games, the Mighty Nine or the Gunvolt or whatever. But like just the fact that it's like if you want to support these guys, that you can still support them and stuff, right? And having new people look at your stuff and change things around is not necessarily always a bad thing. But at the same time, like you need to be. I mean, like that's the whole thing, right? It's like people. It's like the shit that happened with Shenmue 3, right? Now I don't know why they decided to change it, but it's like one of my favorite things about Shenmue was the like aside from the gameplay, obviously, right, or like aside from the story, was the graphics and the controls, right? Like for the fighting and stuff, right? And so I really fucking loved that stuff. I enjoyed that shit, and when they decided to, for Shenmue 3, they got rid of the fighting system with this shitty fucking fighting system, and then they changed the graphics to look completely different from the second and third game. It just ruined the game for me. Like, and I'd paid like $100, maybe $150 for the Kickstarter and everything, and you know, and I got like the special edition game in the mail and everything, and all this stuff. But like after a couple hours of gameplay, I was just like, yeah, fuck this. You know, I appreciate the game 1 and 2 up until now, but like, I don't want this. You know, I don't care if it gets better. No, it's probably not going to get better. And then I watched reviews on the game and to confirm that it doesn't really get better from the point that I was playing. It's just like a shitty cash cow. It's like a spin-off game. It's not an actual game contributing to the storyline or progression. And the whole point is, though, is that Yu Suzuki, the guy who made that game, I don't know if he was doing it because licensing-wise, maybe he couldn't get the same graphics. And, I mean, because, like, it's the game, right? So I don't know why he wouldn't be able to use the same graphics and fighting system as before. But, you know, he wanted to maybe try something new, or maybe it was just cheaper. But it seemed to me that, like, when I played that game, that he wanted more new people to watch and recognize the series versus the old fans. Like, it wasn't for the old fans, even though the old fans are the ones that funded the game, you know, that funded the Kickstarter and stuff. So, I don't know. It's sad, right? It's sad when that shit happens. And so, it's one of those things where it's like, especially when it's a game series that we love, or like a game, like, you know, like a game, not just a game series. What am I talking about? It's like there's a game, like a genre, a series of games, like the Assassin's Creed or whatever. But then there's like games like Shenmue, that's just like, it's a long storyline, right? And just to see people change with it or whatever. Like, I mean, I love watching Law and Order SVU, right? And that show's been on for forever, right? Like, I've watched almost, I'm on episode like 4 of like season 21 or something right now. And I started watching that again like this year or whatever. So I've gone through 20 plus seasons of that already, right? And so obviously things are going to change compared to like the first season versus the 20th season, right? Yeah, like, so of course, like, you can't get too angry at that, but when it comes to a game and the gameplay, like, you build off of that, right? And this is like another reason why I didn't really like Metal Gear Solid 4 or 5, you know. And it was the big reason was just because it felt like a completely different game. Like, you know, Metal Gear Solid 5, you're like on the ground, you're rolling around, you can shoot, like, you can collect people and like Pokemon and put them into your fucking your base. You're using your trigger buttons instead of like the square and circle button to like attack. And like, I hated that, and they didn't even give you an option to change it if you wanted. And yeah, I mean, like, even in Metal Gear Solid 3, it was great, right? Like, the button sensitivity, right? Like, you hold down the button slightly to aim the gun, and then to like push it down hard to shoot it. Like, they really went all out with that stuff. And then it's like, if you take away parts of the game that made it enjoyable for me, it doesn't matter how hard you've tried in all these other elements, I'm not gonna want to play the game, you know. And that's how I feel about when they change stuff. I mean, like, same with like the Resident Evil series, right? Like, Resident Evil 4 was fun, but then in Resident Evil 5, like, oh man, you've got a side character now, and she's a black chick. I'm like, I don't care about that, but do I have to keep her alive? Like, can I hide her in the dumpster like I did with Ashley in the previous game? No. So wait. So like, is the AI good at least? So it's gonna help me? Not really. I'm like, wait. So majority of these levels, I gotta keep this AI thing alive? Yeah. Dude, that fucking sucks. Can't I just play this game like one player? No, it doesn't work. You can play it with 2 players. Well, one of my friends is busy, or I don't have any friends. Well, then too fucking bad. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude. And then Resident Evil 6, they're like, okay, we get it. We get it. We're going to make, you know, it's going to be just like overhead shooter, and we're going to let you play a bunch of different characters, and it's going to be a lot of action, and you can like roll around and like do all this stuff. And like, I tried playing that game on stream for like 20 minutes, and it was just too crazy. There was too much shit going on. I didn't know where I had to run to, and it's just like, it was just too over the top, you know. It's too close up in your face. Like, even the gameplay right now, right? Like, you're far away, right? And in Resident Evil 6, it just felt like you were right like a foot away from like the dude's shoulder and stuff. It made it very claustrophobic, and the controls were just I don't know, it's just like, what's the point? Like, what is the point? Like, I need like a bigger, broad perspective of what's going on here, you know. And I don't want to sound like a boomer or anything. It's like, oh, boomer, you just don't get it. And I'm like, nah, man, I feel like there's certain things, like, even looking at the old Fallout now, right? Go back and look at gameplay footage of Fallout 1 or 2. Like, the voice acting, the story writing, just like the special like little details, you know. Like, you look at Fallout 3 or Fallout 4, and like, I get it, right? Like, it's made for a broader audience, so you kind of got to dumb down a lot of stuff. But like in Fallout 1 or 2, right? Like, you use these like, you don't just see the name of an item. And like, to be fair, in Fallout 3 and all the other ones, right? Like, you see the picture and the name, right? But in Fallout 1, you see the item. And like, in order to push, like, go up and down in the menu or whatever, there's like these rusty old buttons that you have to push on and stuff. and like the dialogue is a lot more complicated, and you have a lot more options for talking to people and stuff. And they did fucked up shit like you know, you could kill you could kill kids in that game or whatever. It's not good to kill kids, but it's like they had the balls to, at least if you wanted to be a piece of shit or something in that game to get that achievement or whatever, you could do that, right? And it's like it's just one of those things where it's like you shouldn't have let mainstream, like, you know, anything that goes mainstream loses its soul, loses its heart, right? You know, like people say that for media, right? You know, like or politicians even, like you go from grassroots and then you just become like the president or whatever, and you just lost touch because you're trying to keep a whole new group of people happy versus the people that started you getting in power in the first place, right? I mean, like, you get that with other YouTubers too, right? Like, YouTubers, they want to be big or whatever, and then they just like, yeah, I want to do this other thing now, and then it's like, oh, these guys are just, my ex-viewers are just hating on me because they don't and it's like, nah, man. I mean, like, same thing with, like, what was it? It's like iDubbbz and shit clowning on people and then saying, like, it was really bad that he did that shit. Like, he's like, I shouldn't have made that video on Tana Montague. That was so bad. And then it's like, Tana Montague's like even being interviewed afterwards, and she's like, nah, like I totally deserved him ripping me a new one, you know? And it's like when the person who you're apologizing to says it's not even that big a deal, then you know it's just like a self-fulfilling like a pity party act, you know? And I don't know, like people might chalk it up to propaganda from Russia or China to make America more divided or weak. It might be from the rich people trying to make the divide between poor and like the middle class and rich that much more divided. Or it could just be negligence from people in charge, letting other people take advantage of the system to weaken the economy or weaken the system. I mean, who knows, right? But it's just like at the end of the day, like I think there's a way to give people the like what is it like the give the minorities or give like people that don't feel represented, give them power in a way that makes them look cool without having to, I don't know, I feel like there's a way to do that without having it be a cheap cash grab, you know? Because like that's the worst thing, right? When it's like, we need representation, this is for a good cause, and then it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of good black people who did some stuff that that you guys never talk about, but you want to talk about like this guy who like fucking overdosed on fentanyl, and he did all this really fucked up shit, and he robbed this woman. Well, it doesn't matter about who he was, it's about what happened to him. It's like, yeah, but the coroner report showed that he died of a fentanyl overdose, and it wasn't, I mean, like the knee thing's fucked up and all, but like, I mean, you know, there's like you're not acknowledging the whole picture here. Like, can we at least acknowledge the whole picture? No, man, you're racist, you fucking asshole. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It just seems like whenever you want to have like a civil discussion about something, the other side just seems so emotionally charged that it's frustrating, because it's like, you know, what is it? It's one of those things where you can, when you get older, you get more crystallized or more solidified in your way of thinking about how the world works and stuff. And either way, you could choose to do it very nihilistically or optimistically, right? Well, you could be pessimistic and be super negative, or you could be nihilistic and just be like, it doesn't, you know, it don't matter, none of this matters. Or you could be optimistic about it, right? And it's hard to be optimistic when it seems like there's an issue, but you can't really talk about it. Like, it feels like America, and like I like America, you know, like I like what America represents. You know, I think that the media blows out a lot of things out of proportion. Like, hell, even fucking Serpent ZA did a video about that recently, where it's like USA propaganda, right? For some reason, they just want to show you for like fear-mongering clicks or whatever. Like, oh, America's going to shit. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, look at this, look at that. And it's like, dude, my town looks fine. You know, I live in a rural area or whatever, but like, it's actually really nice, and the parks are up to date, and like the libraries are fully stocked, and the schools aren't that bad, and it's like America's going to shit, and I'm like, well, yeah, probably certain areas are going to shit, but you know, you don't need to constantly be talking about it. Like, why don't we share the good things? Because then it's ignoring the bad, and I'm like, well, I don't know, like where's the balance, right? Where's the fucking balance? And I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like there are so many, like, I mean, like Static Shock, right? Static Shock, Luke Cage, fucking Black Panther. You know, it's like you have all these characters that were originally fucking black, or even like hell, Miles, Miles, the Spider-Man guy, right? Like if Spider-Man was originally black or originally white, but then they made him into a black character, and he's just from another dimension. It's like, yeah, like he has like invisibility and electricity, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. Like that is pretty fucking badass. Like he's a variant of Peter Parker in a way, but he's, you know, but he's different. But it's cool because he's in his own world. You know, like they spun the story around to make it like make sense. They don't just like place some black dude somewhere and be like, okay, that's how it is. Don't question it. If you do, you're racist. Do you understand how much work we put into this? Fuck you. And it's just like, it's frustrating when you see like people like that in power. And like that's how it always is going to be, whether it's the left or the right. It's just frustrating for regular people who just want to enjoy shit. And then the people in charge are like, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, can't we just talk about it? It's like, and there's no accountability, right? And it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, like, but I hope that shows more than ever that this is like a time for you guys to, like, you know, if you want to start up a video game company, it's a good time to do it because you're going to make a lot more people happy than those fucking idiots that are just like these tiny little groups online that just get their voices put through a megaphone that makes you think that that's the majority. I mean, like, that was the whole thing with the fucking, the COVID shit, you know, right? It's like this tiny little group of people in like Southern California, Berkeley or whatever, trying to represent the voice of the world, right? When it's not the voice of the world, it's the voice of their little fucking community, but since they own all the tech companies, they're going to tell you how you need to think. When you go down to just any fucking park or like restaurant, and you're like, yeah, we don't think like that, you know, who the fuck are they representing? Oh, they represent themselves, you know, the dudes in the gated community who don't deal with the real world, and they're telling us how to live because they're somehow enlightened because their yoga instructor told them so or whatever. I don't know. It's just stupid shit. Anyway, we're getting to the end of this video. So what did you guys think about this topic? You know, I'm really curious. We usually only get like 5 comments on these videos now, but I'd really like to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section and just tell me how you felt about this. And yeah, you know, like always, if you know, if you made it this far, here's a secret comment, and the secret comment is Blade kicks ass. Just type that in to show me you made it this far. Blade kicks ass. And did you smash the like button? Of course you did. And yeah, we'll probably do a live stream right after this, so I'll be posting the live stream URL in the link or in the chat down below, or the chat or the comment section down below. And yeah, guys, thanks for coming and checking out the video today. You all have a good one, and yeah, I'll talk to you later. Yeah, buddy.